I'm sorry, but I'm breaking up with you. Yeah, no, I totally get it. I'm okay. Have you ever felt like someone else is saying something that they don't really mean? Have you ever felt like they really meant something else? If that's the case and you really want to know what other people mean when they say something, stay tuned for today's video on how to uncover hidden emotions. Emotions are often expressed through the body, through the voice tone, through the face, okay? They're not often expressed through words. It's hard to put emotions into words. So, in order to understand what someone truly means, what you need to do is pay attention to what they are doing, how they are saying things, not what they say. Now, here's the hard part that you're going to have to realize, that these emotions are being expressed in very short periods of time. Split seconds to seconds, okay? That's how quick they are. So you need to really be focusing and really be paying attention to see where the emotions can come in, where they will be displayed from the other person. And what we call this is microexpression. A microexpression is a brief and involuntary expression of the body, right? They feel an emotion and they automatically have to express it. It's not something that they can hold back. So that's where the truth lies. When they start talking and given a couple seconds afterwards, they're going to change their reaction and try to make it seem like that they feel some way else if they're trying to hide the emotion. So, what your job is today is to become the decoder, okay? Someone who can look in and decode the signals of what someone truly means. So, let's get into the first step here, which is to spot the microexpressions. And the first emotion we'll be talking about is anger. What is anger? Anger is when we feel displeasure or any annoyance with a certain situation. Some things to look out for when someone may be angry, some body language cues, are lowered eyebrows that are pinched together, two vertical creases in between the eyebrows, tensing of the lower eyelids, and tightening of the lips. Now there's a couple situations where you may also think about looking for anger. That's during a confrontation, when two people are fighting, when you give bad news to someone, or when there's some sort of argument, okay, between you and the other person, or between other people. Yo, are you seriously trying to fight with me, bro? The next emotion we're going to talk about is contempt. What's contempt? You felt contempt before when you don't have the respect for someone else. That's what contempt is. Now let's look at a couple of examples on what contempt looks like from a person's face. It's one of the easier ones to spot when you have a one-sided cheek lift, when it's pulling to the left or right corner of your mouth. And the situations in which this may happen are when you're telling someone no about something they want to do, when someone hears something they don't like, when you put someone else down, or in the middle of a disagreement. Honestly, you know nothing about me. Yeah, I do. Next is happiness, okay? We've all experienced happiness. I hope you've experienced happiness before. Guys, happiness is that excited feeling you get from something. You feel positive and happy. What happiness looks like, if you've never seen it before, is you lift the cheek muscles because you're smiling. The corner of the lips get pulled up. Your teeth become visible because you're smiling. And your eyes will become a little wrinkly from the smile as well, or the happiness that you're having. Now let's look at a couple situations where happiness may occur. When you're celebrating with someone, when you give them good news, or if you just had a positive or pleasant experience. I'm so excited. The next one, the fourth one, is fear. Now fear is meant to help us react to situations. So anything that you think may help you react better is exactly what's happening in the body. You want to take in as much of the environment as you possibly can so you can see and react faster. So widened eyes is something that you would look for. Lifting of the upper eyelids, as in to take more in. Elevated eyebrows, and maybe a slightly open mouth so they can take in breath. When you may see this is during a dangerous life or death situation, when you give someone difficult information and they might not know how to react. In an unknowing or confusing interaction with someone else. Yo, give me your money. I don't have any money, but you can have my books. Now, the fifth one that we're going to talk about is surprise. And surprise and fear are very similar. The difference between surprise and fear is surprise is usually something they don't know. Fear is something that they may have already known. And surprise is pretty easy to spot because it's one that lasts the longest. What does that look like? Widened eyes, elevated eyebrows, except here the eyebrows are curled rather than being a straight line, whereas in fear your jaw drops. You take in a lot of breath, like when this may happen, you ask? When you're delivering completely unexpected news. When you're maybe telling a story with a completely opposite ending of what everyone expected. Or when someone is just completely amazed at what you have done. To Antonio, I just want to let you know that you're a dad now? Now, the sixth emotion we're going to talk about is disgust. And that's simply when you're experiencing something that is unpleasant and something you don't like. Things you may do to show this would be wrinkling of the upper nose, lifting your upper lip, raising your cheeks. This usually happens when someone tastes or smells something bad, if they don't like someone or the idea that was given, and maybe during an unpleasant interaction between them and the other person. Holy shit, dude, please go put some fucking deodorant on right now. Okay. And the last emotion we're going to talk about is sadness. What is sadness? It's the opposite of happiness, okay? You are depressed, you are not feeling good, you're feeling negative, and you want to cry. The corners of your eyebrows are pinched together, your eyelids droop, your lower lip gets put out, and this usually happens when someone's disappointed with the news they were given, or maybe right before they're about to cry. So now that we've gone through what it looks like for all these emotions to come out, once you've noticed them, it's now time to respond to them. So going back to anger now, how do we respond to it? When you see someone being angry through microexpressions, what you should do is think there's an opportunity to explain something more in depth because they don't have all the information. They're acting in a way that you didn't expect them to, right? So you want to figure out where the anger is coming from and how you can remove it. In these cases, make sure to stay calm. Don't be offensive or defensive because what that does is it makes the other person more angry. And you need to explain what information that they're not fully understanding maybe. And the information is supposed to make them feel less threatened. Look, I wasn't trying to say you were small, man. I was just kidding around. Okay, I forgive you, bro. Second, contempt. How do we handle that? Usually with contempt, you need to handle something right away because it becomes a red flag. People may keep it inside, and that problem that they have contempt for, that disrespect they have contempt for, will grow and grow farther and farther if you don't address it right then and there. You need to identify the trigger that made someone feel contempt. Once you've found it, you need to discuss your views and the other person's views on the subject and try to find areas where you may agree. Just from simply talking about it, the other person may feel like you are more on the same page when you discuss your true feelings about it and go more in depth. What do you mean? We've been dating since we've been out the womb. Like, I figured I know you a little bit by now, right? The third one was happiness. How do we help happiness? You want to basically enjoy the happiness with the other person. Make sure to celebrate with them. Make sure to capitalize on it and make sure to show them how happy you are for them, okay? By acting as happy as they are. I'm excited for you, bro. Let's go celebrate. Shots on me. The next one is fear. How can you respond to that? You need to first address the problem at hand. Try to figure out where the discomfort and the fear is coming from the person. Next is to how do you think you can make that situation safer for them? This way that discomfort isn't as big as it was, maybe even completely reducing it. Just so you know, you have a son with Antonia, and that baby was conceived on January 21st, 2017. That makes sense. Next is surprise. When someone acts surprised and you don't expect them to be surprised, you need to make sure you and the other person are on the same page. How do you do that? First, clarify and understand what parts of the situation they don't know. Explain to them what needs to happen next because of the surprise. And then from there, you need to make sure you become on the same page and you're both in full understanding of the situation. Next is disgust. You want to think about how you can get to the bottom of why the person is actually disgusted with the situation. So you need to really understand how they truly feel about it before you can move on. Make sure that you're open and to the other person's opinion and don't hurt them from saying what they want to say, because they might not want to say it because of hurting your feelings. So once you've heard what they want to say, now you need to figure out how you can fix their dislike for that situation. Dude, I know I told you this before. You need to start showering more than once a week. We can't be having this, okay? I know you were told that that's okay, but you need to cut it out. And last is sadness. Sadness in this case is something you need to have empathy for. You need to understand what the other person is going through. Then have some empathy and try to figure out how you can actually help the other person. And then maybe they're gonna need some space and some time to recover. Why do you think you miss her so much, bro? Like, what about her? I honestly think it was her hair, you know? It was so luscious and so beautiful. So now that we've gone through spotting and responding, let's think about the 3 outliers that the book talks about here. First is the eyebrow raise. This is usually a way to either show engagement from the other person or show some sort of indicator of interest, meaning they really like what you just said. So when you see that, it could mean this, or it could mean any of the areas where eyebrow raise was used here. Second is a facial punctuator. That's using any rapid movement in the face in order to emphasize what is said. It gives another dimension to verbal communication. So think like puffing, right? Like that. That adds that extra dimension to what you just said. Biting your lip because you're nervous. That's another example. The last is squelching. And this happens when you're trying to hide a microexpression. Okay, so pay attention for this one because you may not be able to notice what the real emotion is because of this. And what will happen is the person will act like they don't know what's going on because their face is trying to move in so many different directions. So this usually means that they're lying or trying to hide their true feelings, and you need to watch out for that one. So if you enjoyed today's video on finding microexpressions, remember that what you need to do is spot it first, then respond based off of the emotion, and pay attention to the outliers to make sure that they aren't tricking you. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video, make sure to purchase the book on Amazon. Make sure to check me out on Patreon. Any donation helps. Make sure to subscribe, and remember to grow with the flow.